Hello there, this is Ken Kunin from On Song International, and we're having a little experiment today. Yep, we're going live. And what I like about the idea of going live is it enables the community at large to ask a few questions, make a few statements, tell some stories, have a good time. And so the challenge is because I've never used this technology before, I'll be honest. So there could be some hits, there could be some misses. What I want to talk about today, and I want to invite the community to ask some questions for future live cast, going live. What topics do you want to talk about? To me, an intriguing topic in terms of songwriting is where do you get content? So I want to focus on that today in terms of songwriting, because it's one thing to, I suppose, to have an idea in terms of, okay, this is the vibe of the song, this is the musical direction that we want to take, provided that you're not writing classical music or music without any lyrics. You're going to have a storyline. And I think that songs are compelling when they are actually believable. And so that I think is what it comes down to. I think that, a lot of people talk about being in the zone versus, for example, having writer's block. And when you're in the zone, I think that you're well tuned. I think of it as almost like an antenna that you have to what's around you, and your ability to catch a phrase, to see something that inspires you to then sit down and write a song. And whether that's you're writing that song at a piano, guitar, whatever it may be, what is it that is critical to make a song that is potentially timeless, but probably more important, authentic? And I think that writers, like everything else in life, the more that you do it, the more that you sharpen those skills, and then you develop the ability to hear little bits and pieces and to expand upon it. So I think that a good place to start is really where you are in an emotional place. Whether you're up or whether you're down. I think that when you write a song that is true to what you're feeling at the moment, I think that those are the songs that are believable. I think that is the beautiful thing about being an artist, is that you have that capacity to be able to say, you know what, this was a emotion that I experienced when I was really happy, when something happened really well, or when I was anxious, or when I was depressed, or when I was scared, or when I was moved. I think that that has to be a believable thing. Now, that said, some people will say, well, look, I live a pretty dull, boring life. Not a lot happens to me. Well, I don't know. First off, I'd say probably get out more. That said, I know that it's very tempting to be hermit-like in the construction of a song in any artistic pursuit. But I think that we live in a world where it's very easy to sort of crawl inside the computer. The only thing about a computer is the interaction is not completely three-dimensional. And I think that emotions need to be three-dimensional. So I think that interaction with people is really important. I think that once you have an interaction that's strong, then you can sit down and you can dissect it. And that's when I think it's cool to be a hermit. And yeah, so those are thoughts. I think that emotions are strong. I think that when you listen to a song and what's, at least to me, uninspiring, hello, Stephanie, nice to see you, is that if you're not inspired, it's because you're not going to find something believable. And when something isn't believable, that's when I think there's a real struggle. I think that good or bad, if you believe it because it happened or because it's part of your soul, terrific. But then what do you do if you don't have a story to tell? Well, that's when you read. That's when you tell someone else's stories. I think that that's probably the brilliance of Bob Dylan. I don't think that he always was telling his tale. I think sometimes it was telling someone else's tale. So for the listeners out there, put a question about what you think in terms of finding inspiration for a song. Where do you guys like to start? Nathan, very nice to see you. Stephanie, very nice to see you. I'm assuming, I'm pretty certain because I've seen you before, that you're both songwriters. What is it that will motivate you to write your best songs? And in the weeks ahead, in terms of this format and songwriting, what do you want to focus on? What intrigues you? What is interesting to you? Because that's what On Song's all about. We're about a community that wants to get behind each other to support each other. I think a really important thing in terms of songwriting, we just recently had a bit of a songwriting contest, and what you saw in the submissions were you saw that different artists varied from quite poppy songs. Hello, Brendan. Nice to see you. Hello, everyone. You saw songs that were quite short, that were more of the pop domain. You saw songs that were 6 or 7 minutes. I think it is really critical to understand and to have good direction in terms of what are you trying to create. If you're trying to create something that is commercial, this is definitely a stream about songwriting. You got it, Braden. Absolutely. If you're trying to do something that's commercial and that is the vehicle that you're following, then you have to sort of, to a certain degree, adhere to a shorter format to making sure that, for example, that all your verses and that your choruses hit, that you take in consideration that people have very short attention spans. And because of that, you got to sort of think about, all right, I'm going to go in, I'm going to hit hard, I'm going to get out. And that is the construction. You look at the Beatles, the magic about the Beatles songs, particularly in early days, early stages, were it was 2 minutes, 20 seconds of absolute ear candy. So every verse, every chorus had a certain punch to it. It had a dynamic element that sucked you in. And because of that, when you hear one of those songs, whether you like them or not, instantaneously you're able to sort of hum along. And I think on the other spectrum, when you write a 7, 8, 9 minute piece, fantastic, but understand it's not going to be commercial, typically. But that said, there are people that always break those laws. You think of a group like Led Zeppelin, you think of Pink Floyd. There are albums that have, back in the day when there were actual albums where you had essentially 2 22-minute sides, you had albums that one side of the album could be one song. So it was a different format. So point being is what do you want to create? Do you want to create something that is poppy? Do you want to create something that is this artistic landscape that allows for lots of instrumentation? That is really important. Now I'm gonna make this little caveat. I think because we get a lot of people that submit music that might be via piano or an acoustic guitar and a vocal. I think the challenge of having, say, a 6-minute song that is just an acoustic guitar and a vocal is the ability to get lost as the listener, because the song goes on for a period of time and you're not being introduced to different textures. And that is a point that I saw sort of over and over again, or a point that I wanted to make over and over again, is that if you're going to have a longer format song, then you're going to really have to look at, okay, if I was a listener, am I staying intrigued? Am I staying intrigued to the storyline of the song? Am I staying intrigued that there's this reoccurring hook that is so strong that I want to hear it over and over again? So it's food for thought. What else? What else do we want to delve in today? This is the first live show, and again, we're talking about songwriting. So it's about feeling out what you as songwriters and artists and or just music fans, what it is that intrigues you, that you want to talk about when it comes to songwriting. So, hopefully this format will take off, and we'll figure out the ins and outs of how to announce that we're going to be doing one. But again, think of it as a format that you can ask some questions, that you can get your point across. My thing is always know who you are. Okay, that's the big thing, and know what you're trying to get across. Whether you're a pop songwriter, whether you want to do something that's a little bit more artistic, be specific. Know what your genre is, and it's very easy to sort of say, well, look, I'm my own genre. Yeah, that's fair enough. However, if things are totally unspecific, then when someone goes to search your genre, they're not going to really see anything. Whereas if you understand, you know what, I'm a country singer, or I'm a soul singer, or I like indie pop or indie rock, you at least have an audience that's potentially built in that is going to be looking for what it is that you actually produce and that you put out. And it's food for thought, but I think it's important. It's important to have some sort of direction. We all have different leanings. We all have different influences. That said, it's pretty good to be able to think of, if someone actually asks you a question, they say, oh, yeah, what kind of songs do you like to write? That you have the ability to answer without it being a 5-minute answer saying, well, yeah, I like to take a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit, and that water gets a little bit murky. So that's it for today. Just really simple. This is just an invitation to ask you guys what topics, when it comes to songwriting, are important that you would like to take part in a live format, a live chat, because we're into it. And also we want to give you a space that you can think about some of these things, and then actually on, whether it be our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, that you can go, yep, this is a concept that I took on board, and here's a song that I wrote that reflects that concept. And that way you can share it to the community. You get some more eyeballs and some more ears on your material, and everyone wins. So I would be remiss if I said that if you're checking this out, I think if you're checking this out, you're likely a subscriber. If for some reason you get a hold of this and you weren't, and you've landed on this page, please do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. We really welcome your comments. Check us out on Facebook as well. That's On Song International. You can't miss us. And yeah, you guys have a real good day. And sooner than later, what we're going to do is we're going to have a timetable of when we are going to be coming live to you, to your phone, to your computer, to whatever device that you happen to gaze upon. All right. Have a terrific week. If any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Over and out. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to actually turn this off now.